Network headquarters. It's time for Arnab Goswami on the debate. Arnab Goswami on the debate.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome. Rahul Gandhi is traveling abroad once again and he has a right to do so. He's talking in, all kinds of, American universities. He has a right to do so, but he must be careful about what he's talking about. And my suggestion is always this, and not just to Rahul Gandhi, if you don't know your facts, don't open your mouth. Don't pontificate. Don't try to pontificate when you don't know the ABC of a subject. One way of looking at the way Rahul Gandhi talks is that it's laughable. But then you see, he's become leader of the opposition. So he holds a constitutional position. And it is baffling that a person holding that position should speak in such an amateurish way. Ladies and gentlemen, Sam Petroda says Rahul Gandhi is not a pappu, he's a strategic thinker, but he admits that often it's difficult to understand him. On that last point, I agree with Sam Petroda. Now, Rahul Gandhi's latest, he's made many points, including saying things like Islam is not an Indian religion, I'm told, etc. But I don't want to get into his views on spirituality and who is a god and who is not, and how a person becomes a devata, and the kind of pop spiritualism that has no depth and is best avoided. But I know people like Rahul Gandhi do it, that's his right, I don't want to talk about it. However, ladies and gentlemen, it is wrong, unethical and immoral for Rahul Gandhi to go to America and run down the Indian economy once again. And I'm not linking this to the fact that he has signed an agreement with the Chinese officially. God knows what's in the agreement, but we all know the pictures with the Chinese. And every time he travels abroad, he praises China and runs down India. Every single time. If Rahul Gandhi has an inferiority complex vis-a-vis the Chinese, that's his problem. We don't. We are growing. We are surpassing them. We're growing faster than them. Our economy is doing better than them. It is our time. So Rahul Gandhi, stop trying to run the country down. Now his latest point is that the state of China's economy is excellent. What are you talking about, Rahul Gandhi? The unemployment rate among Chinese youth has touched a record high of 21.3%. But according to Rahul Gandhi, there's no unemployment in China. Why are you lying, Rahul? The unemployment in youth age 16 to 24, more than 1 in 5 are unemployed in China. But Rahul Gandhi says unemployment is not a problem in China. Who told you that? Uncle Sam Petroda. In fact, in China, Rahul Gandhi, there has been the sharpest decline of late. FDI, and someone should tell Rahul Gandhi this. FDI has fallen by 28% year on year from January to May. These are the exact numbers in China. The state of China's manufacturing has dropped August to a 6-month low. I find it completely ridiculous that an individual who doesn't know these facts is going to America and embarrassing all of us by praising the Chinese, saying that their manufacturing, their economy, their unemployment, everything is fantastic. For Rahul Gandhi's China is always a dream. Well, we don't share that dream, Rahul. We dream the Bharat dream. And you should change your approach too. This constant pessimism, constantly trying to run down your country, saying we have to learn from America, saying things like you are a union of states, we are a union of states, not once saying that we are a proud nation, not once saying Things like the Indian EV market is forecasted to expand to US 113 billion by 2029. If that is not manufacturing, what is, Rahul? And this manufacturing growth is not happened in a Congress regime. It has happened when the Gandhis are not in power, when the Congress is not in power. Acknowledge these facts. Go abroad, take pride. Don't play on pessimism. It's a short-term political strategy. Few people will laugh when you say ridiculous things like, I want a caste census in the Miss India competition, but afterwards people will come and say that you have no substance. Aerospace and defense manufacturing, we're targeting a turnover of 1.75 lakh by 2025. We're a defense exporter. Our mobile manufacturing, we are producing 97% of local demand. 30% of production in 2024 is for export. Apple is coming from China to India. They're pairing off a lot of their manufacturing and setting up base in large parts of India. The electronic manufacturing sector, we're doubling the number of jobs to 5 million in 5 years. These are the facts, Rahul. There is no point going among people who may know less than you and misleading them by singing praises of China and not accepting the fact that when you've been out of power, the country has unleashed its potential. When you're not in power, the bottlenecks are gone. When you're not in power, centrality of thinking is happening. Tough decisions are being taken. And therefore, Rahul, and to all those people who are the Congress supporters, I just want to say this. You have a right to support any political leader, but not at the cost of spreading lies against our nation. For when you do so repeatedly, you must understand you're crying wolf. And even those audiences whose affection and favor you are seeking will see through you. Ladies and gentlemen, debate 1 tonight. Rahul Gandhi's usual trick on foreign soil. That's debate 1 this evening. Debate number 2 this evening. Not a debate, but a discussion. But a very interesting Pandit Satish Sharma with me, who is a theologian, and he's fighting for Indians and the Hindu community in the United Kingdom, and he's coming up with what's going to be a very, very controversial counter-narrative, a documentary on the BBC. He's joining me at 8:30. Don't miss this one. At 9 o'clock tonight, viewers, we believe at Republic there's a conspiracy against the Indian Railways. There are multiple incidents of sabotage, and by the grace of the Lord Almighty, each time they have been exposed in the nick of time. But we need to talk about what is going on and who's trying to sabotage the Indian Railways and why. Is that part of the Target India effort? Is that an effort by the deep state of foreign countries? That's at 9 o'clock, and here are the headlines this Monday evening on the Debate Tonight.
India has an employment problem, but there are many countries in the world that don't really have an employment problem. China certainly doesn't have an employment problem. China is dominating global production.
Rahul Gandhi goes on and on praising China, attacking India, but he's got his facts wrong, his numbers wrong, and all over people are beginning to really directly point out his multiple unacceptable contradictions about India on foreign soil. A cylinder tactically kept on a railway track, explosives found in a sweet box, petrol kept in a bottle, and matchsticks found near the tracks. The attempt to derail Prayagraj Bhiwani Kalindi Express is a clear conspiracy to malign the Indian Railways, target the Indian Railways. The Uttar Pradesh ATS has detained 10 suspects, and the terrorist angle remains the focal central point. We believe there is a mass design to sabotage the Indian Railways. In June 2023, you'll remember, viewers, the Balasore train derailment killed 293 people. It was the result of a pre-planned conspiracy. 10 cases of a similar kind of sabotage are now under the scanner of the ministry. Ladies and gentlemen, Rahul Gandhi is at it again. It has almost become a habit with Rahul Gandhi to demean the country all the time, viewers. During his ongoing visit to the US, Rahul Gandhi has unleashed another anti-India tirade, a very, very strong argument for China, always praising China. not only questioning India's growth, but also showing very, very, very strong, pronounced, and if I may say so, ladies and gentlemen, disturbingly pro-India sentiments. I wonder why Rahul does this vis-a-vis China. I do not want to link it to his signed agreement with the Chinese, but you take a look at this.
मोदी जी का भाषण सुनो, बब्बर शेर, जहां देखो इंटरनेट में देखो बब्बर शेर, और हम आपसे पूछ रहे हैं, बब्बर शेर दिखा दिया, हमें बताओ कितने रोजगार आपने हिंदुस्तान के युवाओं को दिए?
If you look today, China is dominating global production. You go to India, you look at the phones, you look at the furniture, you look at clothes, you'll see on the back, made in China.
Rahul Gandhi is back on foreign soil, spitting venom against India once again. And this time, in the United States, his narrative has taken a dangerous turn. Apart from being anti-India, he has also gone pro-China. While the world celebrates India's meteoric rise, Rahul Gandhi continues to wage his anti-Bharat crusade, undermining our nation's progress with every step he takes. In Dallas, Texas, once again, Rahul shamelessly questioned India's manufacturing strength, towing a pro-China line. He ridiculed India's trajectory, claiming we are on the wrong path.
The West has an employment problem. India has an employment problem. But there are many countries in the world that don't really have an employment problem. China certainly doesn't have an employment problem. And if you look today, China is dominating global production. You go to India, you look at the phones, you look at the furniture, you look at clothes, you'll see on the back, made in China.
Ironically, Gandhi's comments come 2 days after India beat China in terms of weightage in the global MSCI Emerging Markets Index, a parameter that shows resilience of the Indian economy. This when global giants like Apple and others are making India their manufacturing hub. Rahul mocks our nation's achievements even as top financial agencies recognize India's unparalleled growth story. Rahul Gandhi needs to wake up to the reality that India is now a global strategic power. The world knows it, but will he ever acknowledge it?
तो राहुल गांधी जी बाहर जाकर केवल भारत को बदनाम ना करें। जो दुनिया का विश्वास भारत में बना है, सैकड़ों नहीं हजारों लाखों करोड़ रुपए का निवेश भारत में आ रहा है। आज दुनिया में सबसे तेजी से बढ़ने वाली अर्थव्यवस्था भारत बनी है। मुझे लगता है शायद कुछ लोगों को पढ़ने लिखने की आदत कम है।
दिक्कत ये है इनकी कि ये सब दुनिया के सबसे बड़े ज्ञानी अपने आप को साबित करने के चक्कर में सबसे बड़े अज्ञानी साबित हो रहे हैं। सरकार को जितना भी आप जो है कोसना है कोसिए, लेकिन देश के बारे में आप जिस तरह का कन्फ्यूज़न क्रिएट करने की कोशिश करते हैं, देश को कमज़ोर दिखाने की कोशिश करते हैं, ये अनएक्सेप्टेबल है, स्वीकार्य नहीं है।
But this isn't new. Time and again, Rahul Gandhi has denigrated India on international platforms. From claiming democracy is dying,
we are facing an attack on the basic structure of Indian democracy,
to calling for foreign intervention and insisting India is just a union of states and not a nation. Rahul Gandhi is a loose cannon, and it's time he's held accountable.
India is not described as a nation. In our constitution, the line is India, that is Bharat, is a union of states.
Will the Gandhi scion ever apologize? Will he back up his half-baked rhetoric with facts?
You know, we have a choice as well here at Republic. We can choose to ignore or correct. To a certain extent, you can ignore a person who doesn't know things and say we can't take him seriously. I mean, like, you know, of course, you can't take Rahul Gandhi seriously on economics. I don't know what economics he learnt at some Rollins College in Florida, what they teach there. But when you're discussing geopolitics and economics with a link between the two, you need to have your facts together. You cannot make vague generalizations. That's my starting point tonight. Kishore, you know, ignore or correct. What do you think?
Okay, so Arnab, thank you. Good evening to my panelists. Let me give you some valid points here, okay? Please don't interrupt me for 45 seconds. I want to make my points. Point number one, Vedanta's copper smelter plant, Tamil Nadu, Congress-led protest and opposition led to closure in 2018. Sterlite copper plant, Tamil Nadu, Congress-supported protest and political opposition led to plant's closure in 2018. Ultratech cement plant, Gujarat, Congress-led farmer protest and land acquisition issues delayed the project. Adani Mundra port expansion, Congress-led fishermen protest and environmental concerns. Jindal Steel Power, Chhattisgarh, Congress-led acquisition protest and environmental concerns. ArcelorMittal Steel Plant, Odisha, Congress-led acquisition protest and environmental concerns. POSCO Steel Plant, Odisha, Congress-led acquisition in 2017. Tata Motors, Gujarat Plant, Congress-led acquisition protest. Maruti Suzuki, Gujarat Plant, Congress-led acquisition protest. Foxconn in Maharashtra.
Make the point fast. Make the central point first.
Okay, this is the first point, that Congress is amazing in manufacturing, but they manufacture lies. The problem is Rahul Gandhi ji does not know the details. India has been the largest.
That is the basic problem. I think I tell you what, we cannot dignify this level of ignorance with a very, well-researched argument. There is a need to, but you don't need to pull your citations out. You must realize you're not dealing with Jeffrey Sachs. You are dealing here with Rahul Gandhi. So you have to, come down to that level and explain. Point here is, he has said today, and Santosh Mehrotra, please don't defend the indefensible at any cost, and please don't walk out of the show in protest if I ask a very, very sharp question. My question tonight is this, that as far as I know, the youth unemployment rate has exceeded 20% in China among 100 million youth between, this young age of their early 20s.
There is 7% in Haryana.
And 1 minute. The point to say, I think it's unpardonable to come and say that China does not have an unemployment problem. You can't do that even if you want to run down India. Professor Mehrotra.
Thank you, Professor Goswami. China has an unemployment problem. We know that. It's youth unemployment.
But Rahul Gandhi said there's none.
No, never mind that.
Why never mind? Why?
अच्छा facts चाहते हो कि नहीं चाहते हो? मैं बोलूं कि ना बोलूं?
नहीं बोलना है आपको, मगर राहुल गांधी ने गलत बोला ना.
अरे प्रोफेसर साहब मेहरबानी है, बड़ी मेहरबानी है. India's youth unemployment rate is 44%. You understand? Firstly. Secondly, FDI in China is falling, yes, but so is FDI in India falling. FDI in India, with all due respect, as a proportion of GDP, in any case, never exceeded 2% of GDP. In this entire 10-year period, in the UPA, it was more than 2%. Basic foundational two facts your listeners must know. Manufacturing contribution to gross value added in India fell from 17%, which it was for 25 years from 1992 to 2015, down to 13%, from 17 to 15 to 14 to 13. For next 5 years, it's only recovered back to the 17% in the last year. That means never in the history of India in the last 32 years, manufacturing contribution to GVA had fallen. Secondly, manufacturing contribution to employment actually fell. Talk was all about Make in India. You love talking about Foxconn, I'll come to that in a second. But do you know that in 2012, manufacturing employment in India was 60 million. 5 years later, it was 55 million, falling a year after this government came to power. It has only just recovered. To the 60 million.
But don't be angry that it has recovered. Be happy that it's recovered.
Labor-intensive manufacturing actually saw an absolute decline. That's why the joblessness is as high as it is. Yes, sir. That is the reason that for the last 4 years, the government, while it is pretending that it has created 8 crore jobs, 6 crore of those are in agriculture. The jobs are not being created in manufacturing.
Okay, so may I now, Dr. Mehrotra?
सर जी तो सुन लीजिए और
मैं सुन रहा हूँ डॉक्टर साहब मैं बिल्कुल सुन रहा हूँ क्योंकि आप you get angry, you walk out of the show. I want you to participate, but you don't hear me.
सुनाइए.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I just want to thank Dr. Santosh Mehrotra for saying that Rahul Gandhi is talking rubbish by saying there is no unemployment problem in China. At least you concede that point. I'm glad you. Now, sir, let me say this to you. And before I open it up, you see, this if one is determined to have a Raghuram Rajan view of the world, we must keep reminding ourselves that 1.5 years back, Raghuram Rajan and Rahul Gandhi sat on a rooftop. And Raghuram Rajan said economy is going to go down, we're going to nosedive, we're going to be around 4%, I think that's what he said. And today he hides. So point being that the US and Europe investment into India shot up by 65 billion, whereas investments to China fell below 20 billion. We must always compare India and China. We must also please understand that we are leading in mobile manufacturing. We've seen a 40% increase in mobile manufacturing when compared to the earlier year. We must talk about sectors like defense.
Not manufacturing, assembling.
Sir, you know, the problem with you is you are unwilling to acknowledge anything that's good that's happening. So you are not Rahul Gandhi. And by the grace of God, you never will be like that. You are an intellectual. Point is, sir, that our PLI scheme has been a game changer. You know that.
It's been a disaster. It's been a
See,
disaster.
I am saying you know, I know. Okay, I don't know as much as you know. But I can certainly tell you Rahul Gandhi knows nothing. And that is the problem. When you go extempore, take Santosh Mehrotra with you. Take a written script from Santosh Mehrotra. At least you won't do what you are doing on a public platform. You can't talk like that.
Know about manufacturing.
You can't talk like that. I mean, so much ignorance.
Opposition cannot talk like that. But the Prime Minister of India can tell wind scientists how to create water out of the wind using a windmill, how to create a methane gas plant by...
No, you have to go prepared. Tuin is on the debate.
But Rahul Gandhi is not allowed to talk about the important issues of manufacturing and what is...
First of all, I think that, you know...
the unemployment problem in India is one of the most severe problems. The BJP has faced the brunt of those problems.
I tell you this, that you have to...
My name is Tuin, Mr. Jain.
No. To admit that there is a problem in the country.
Tuin, the problem is with Rahul Gandhi, not with the country. The problem is with your leader, not with the country. Country is fine.
Arnab, and it's a very,
and the people are...
No, Arnab, it's a very important issue, and I would expect 90 minutes of silence instead of Mr.
90 seconds, I think.
90 minutes of silence.
Yes, 90 seconds of absolute silence. Arnab, at a time, please understand the importance of or the magnitude of what the notoriety that Rahul Gandhi is enacting. At a time when Prime Minister Modi is going all out to pitch India as a global semiconductor manufacturing hub and for India to emerge as an alternative supply chain for the world, any Indian who roots for China and especially on foreign soil is fundamentally anti-national by character. And has Rahul Gandhi done it for the first time? Has Rahul Gandhi done it for the first time? I will give you another glaring instance. One day before, the announcement of India, Middle East, European corridor at the finale of G20, where was he? He was in Brussels singing praises of OBOR, One Belt, One Road of China. And he would say that India doesn't have an alternative. So he's a repeat offender. But let me specifically point out what is at stake over here. A total of cumulative 1.5 lakh crore investment which has gone up into multiple semiconductor manufacturing hubs which are likely to produce 7 crore chips per day. What is going to be the estimated size of the semiconductor industry in the next 2 decades? $300 billion. What is the estimated size of the space sector industry, which by the way was at a dormant shape 10 years ago? $100 billion in the next 10 years. In defense, India has emerged as a complete powerhouse. The kind of order books, please don't have some courtesy. Don't be an anti-national like Rahul Gandhi. If you look at the
so the moment you speak against the person from the BJP, you become an anti-national. That is the problem to him. That is the problem. That is sensible person
if you barge in like this, if you behave in an uncouth fashion,
Tuin is on the debate. Tuin versus Santosh Mehrotra. Santosh Mehrotra on the right. The debate is hot tonight on Rahul for China. Santosh on the right.
Always do. Companies like BEL and HAL have some of the biggest defense order books across the globe. And of course, like you mentioned, the mobile phone manufacturing, India is leading on that front. So imagine what is at stake. The potential of India emerging as an alternative supply chain for the world, and Rahul Gandhi wants to destroy that possibility through constantly rooting for China, and that is what makes his act very insidious.
I want to point one thing, apart from this this glaring, appalling comment out here which has been made on China. Viewers, you know, some other things I'm asking you, do you believe Rahul Gandhi needs a written script? In my view, it may be a better thing, because you see, you see, I'll tell you this. I'm making no personal comment, but you see, by the age of 55, 56, most people, men or women, you have either got domain expertise, or you've got academic qualifications, or you've got a considerable amount of reading, or you have gathered a fair amount of life experience, which cannot happen if you are taken on a picnic by Jairam Ramesh. It has to happen through work, hard work, career. People work from the age of 20, 21, they build up a career profile. How do you think Santosh Mehrotra has become Santosh? He's studied, he's got a PhD, he's worked hard, he's achieved something on his own. And he must, it's the most unfortunate position that he has to defend a dynasty today. But I would still say this, that when you say GST is designed against production, I mean, Santosh Mehrotra, you're going to United States of America and says, GST is Gabbar Singh tax, it's designed against production. You passed it in parliament. It's madness. And then you go and say that India has a skill respect problem. What do you mean by India has a skill respect problem? Those women scientists at ISRO who are at the heart of our space missions, you are saying we don't respect them? How dare you speak that language? No, you've done this. No, my point is, and then you've said, oh, these RSS BJP people, one minute. I'll tell you the comment made. This RSS BJP people, they want women to only cook and stay in the kitchen and stay at home. Is Sushma Swaraj not from an RSS background? You disrespect Indian women. You say, for you, is Sushma Swaraj not from RSS BJP background? Did she only cook and stay at home? What kind of comments are these?
Is a woman and in the BJP government.
Appalling comments that he has been making.
Absolutely preposterous. Arnab, and my point is, does he have any moral right to speak on issues of women, on women's issues, when his hypocrisy stands exposed? Just last month, a leader of Congress, a woman leader of Congress in Kerala was suspended. Why? Because she made some scathing Me Too allegations against the Kerala Congress Party. You remember Dr. Ankita Datta from Assam Youth Congress, who was sacked from the party when she leveled Me Too charges against B.V. Srinivas. So this is the reality of Rahul Gandhi. He has no business to talk about women's issues. He does not understand the difference that Swachh Bharat mission.
The other point is also, Nikhil, the other point I want to go to Santosh Mehrotra. You see, the point is, you are basically doing everything possible to bring down India's brand image and bring up China's brand image. Now, Santosh Mehrotra ji, you are a well-traveled man. I'm sure you've heard of the report by the well-known US market research firm, which said it took 500 top executive level managers in the US surveyed by the UK market research firm, and they said that given a choice, we will prefer India over China if both these countries manufacture the same item from the same materials. And 56% of the people preferred India to serve their supply chain needs within the next 5 years. That's the kind of respect we have today. We don't need Rahul Gandhi saying, India is useless, we don't know how to manufacture, we have a skill respect problem, women are made to cook. No. See, this is not going to work. Santosh Mehrotra, please. Santosh, I gave you the example, Santosh Mehrotra, of the market research firm which showed India's growing brand image in terms of manufacturing. I'd like a specific response from you.
See, Arnab, forgive me. Arnab, there's no question that the brand image of India has grown. But we must be realistic about our assessment, both in respect of the size of our market and as well as about how much of the foreign companies that were invested in China and are exiting from there, and they've been exiting from there for the last 8 or 10 years. But where have they been going? A very small proportion has come to India. I welcome the fact that Foxconn has come here. However, the point still remains that most of the exiting firms are still going to Vietnam, to Cambodia, Bangladesh, Southeast Asia. Very few are coming to India. India still
Rahul doesn't know
logistical costs. Sun lo, yaar, puri baat sun lo.
But you know how the textile firms have fled from Bangladesh to India in the last 2 weeks.
Make a point, please.
Are 2 weeks na, but they are beating us hollow on textiles and garments. Come on, let's get the facts on the table.
Mr. Mehrotra, just one point.
Their garments export size is much larger. Their average factory is of the size of 4,000 to 5,000. I've been and visited them. I've done a study on them for the Bangladesh government. I know Bangladesh a little bit, my brother. Please try and appreciate what I'm trying to say. We need to put in a specific package for textile and garments so that we support these, because they have seen this is a labor-intensive sector. We can generate jobs. We desperately need more jobs in textiles and garments, as well as in leather and footwear, and in food processing and wood furniture. These are the 5 sectors which do manufacturing, and these are all, sectors which are exiting from China. We would love to have foreign. They're not coming here.
Okay, Dr. Mehrotra, Tuhin has a rebut to you, sir, please. Tuhin.
I appreciate Dr. Mehrotra's calm down tenor in which he raises some concerns. But point is, I am talking about the intent of Rahul Gandhi. If he has serious concerns, he needs to discuss it with policy holders within the country. He needs to have a dialogue with stakeholders over here. When you go to America, and this is not the first time he has undermined India on foreign soil, whether it is, about maligning our democracy, whether it is pulling out a Sikh gentleman and telling him that, listen, even Sikhs are unsafe in India, he has done everything to denigrate the image of India. And I think that is the important point over here. Well, that is something which Dr. Mehrotra should condemn on your show.
Yeah, I truly believe, I truly believe that if there is a problem with expression or communication in the absence of fact, a written script is extremely useful. I would strongly suggest that.
As is a teleprompter from the Prime Minister.
And now for the debate chat, ladies and gentlemen. And on the debate chat this evening, I have with me in the studios in a couple of minutes an individual who has spent decades on the study of India's magnificent dharmic tradition. He has not come out much in the media, but I believe he's an outspoken voice on matters of India, on Hinduism, on contemporary Indian politics in the context of the geopolitical situation. And he's going to be coming up with what I believe is going to be extremely topical, necessary, and I believe controversial documentary on the BBC soon. And he's going to be telling us more about that. That documentary is called The BBC on Trial. Pandit Satish Sharma will be joining me in the Republic studios this evening for a conversation around his extensive research and findings on what he believes is the outright anti-India, anti-Hindu, anti-right slant of the BBC. Pandit Satish Sharma's work has gone deep into the intricacies of the editorial stand of the BBC, and he has dissected it in what is going to be the most talked about documentary of the year, BBC on Trial. As we pivot to the debate chat tonight, remember, ladies and gentlemen, that the narrative building about India on global portals from the US to France have all been consistent. This ecosystem of the mobilization of the narrative against India, particularly against the Hindu community and Hindu nationalism, is not a new subject. And hence, it is important more than ever for us to discuss these designs that directly target India and our global image. I will play out a backstory to this conversation, and then Pandit Sharma will be with me.
As India rises in the global economic and geopolitical order, the attacks on India's story have become relentless in recent years. While the actors are many, it has been the Western media taking aim at India's global image. From misrepresentation of facts and events during the farmers' protest and the anti-CAA movement, to even dangerous attempts to meddle in domestic politics, like the BBC did with its documentary on 2002 Godhra riots right ahead of the Lok Sabha elections. Foreign interests have been deeply vested in India for quite some time. These visuals of 2022 went viral across the world. BBC was quick to add the Hindutva colour to the violence and was called out for it. Amidst the crusaders who called out BBC's brazen display of bias in Leicester was Pandit Satish K. Sharma, whose work in dharmic tradition has garnered global acclaim. Pandit Satish Sharma is set to release the much-awaited documentary that he believes will shatter the prism of coloniality entrenched in Western media, particularly the BBC.
The colonizer mind is something which is like a mimetic virus. It can be communicated and it can be spread, but it has a certain pathology.
The upcoming documentary BBC on Trial goes deep into the aspects of BBC's alleged bias as per the research and findings of Pandit Satish Sharma's work. BBC's alleged bias has been noted globally. He joins Arnab on the debate chat with his findings as BBC on Trial gears up for release.
Satish Sharma, welcome. Pandit Satish Sharma is the author and a director of the Global Hindu Federation. But as far as I'm concerned, after my last conversation with you in our newsroom, I feel that you are a very strong voice for the Hindu community because you come from a very reasonable perspective. You come from a very theological perspective. I personally am delighted, let me say that I'm a fellow traveler with you as far as my complaints about the BBC are concerned. So what is this work that you're doing and what's the pivot for it? What's the starting point? Why are you doing this documentary?
Namaskar and Jai Shri Ram. It's a pleasure to be here, Arnabji. Thank you for the opportunity to share some thoughts on this. We're a very quiet community in the United Kingdom. The Hindu community doesn't cause much of a conflict or trouble. But on numerous occasions, we have found that we became the targets of misinformation. And I was fortunate enough to be able to interact with the BBC at the highest levels, right the way through to the Director General, the heads of all of the departments. We presented our evidence to them, and we achieved nothing whatsoever. In the last 8 or 9 years of interacting with them, we haven't been able to successfully get them to change not even a single web page, which is published on their websites. This is how intransigent they were. So it became necessary for us to find out, why is this being done? What's actually happening here? Are we in any way, shape or form contributing to what's being done to us? And the journey was really a journey of discovery. We ventured into the history of the BBC to find out what was the guiding vision. Why was it created in this manner? How was it born? And what was the real purpose for which it was created? And we came up with startling discoveries. We delved into the diaries of the original Director General. We came up with some of the campaigns that they had produced and then completely erased from history. But we also discovered some very interesting connections in the colonialist agenda, the manner in which the BBC was leveraged to influence the world's audience to adopt a particular narrative, a narrative which was not based on fact, a narrative which was not based on events nor recorded history, but a narrative which purported to show history in a completely different light, a manner in which they wanted it to appear. And so it became very apparent to us that this is not just a recent problem, this is an old problem. We've had almost 100 years of the BBC operating a particular agenda whilst presenting a totally different face. Now, when I became aware of this, I spoke to a couple of youngsters, and I have to say, it's been a pleasure to find that we now have a generation who are able to do deep research in the languages, find the files, and they have worked to put together this documentary. And I'm fairly confident that what it will do is it will help to rebut some of the gaslighting that is going on against the Bharatiya renaissance at this moment in time.
If you don't mind, I'm going to open up to phone calls, ladies and gentlemen, because I believe many of you would want to talk to him. Now, keep in mind, viewers, as you're listening to Pandit Satish Sharma, that there is an implicit bias. The point he's making is that there is an implicit, unwritten bias. If you say that you are Hindu, you will be typecast as an extreme Hindu, rabid, ultra-nationalist. These words will be used, and the English language has many such words. And the idea of the BBC and of people there is to put you on trial. Anyone who's vocal about their Hindu identity, the BBC puts them on trial. They want to put them on the back foot. What Pandit Satish Sharma is doing now, he's putting the BBC on trial. Do you genuinely believe that not just the BBC, but in certain circles, but particularly the BBC, there is an anti-India, anti-Semitic, anti-Israel, anti-Hindu view which is pushed very aggressively but invisibly?
I would go as far as to say that the evidence supports the allegation that the BBC is determined to hinder the reintegration of the Bharatiya civilizational identity. We are seeing that Bharat is reintegrating its economic identity. It's beginning to take a position of primacy. It's reintegrating its political identity. We have seen the Prime Minister being lauded and received with a great deal of respect, more than any Prime Minister before. And so those two identities are becoming strong. But the one identity which they do not want to have reintegrated is the civilizational one. And so we are going to see such an inundation of rhetoric, negative rhetoric, which is designed to deny the Hindu his rightful place in the world's narratives and the conversations.
Is it only a religious thing, or is it also a political thing going on?
Well, I'm saying
is it that they don't like the Modi government, they don't like the BJP in power, they had a comfortable relationship with the Congress even pre-independence and post-independence, and they see the emergence of the BJP in power as a disruption to that comfortable coexistence?
It is. The BJP is seen as the political voice of this civilizational identity. Although many would say that the BJP has not shouldered that as its responsibility. It doesn't wear the mantle of being anything to do with the religious dimension of the civilizational identity. The BBC and the external commentators are imposing that as their straw man, and they are choosing that to attack the BJP in its political space. We will see a lot more of this. Just imagine, from their point of view, what happens when the civilizational identity becomes reintegrated. The civilizational identity is going to say, this is who we were.
Yes.
This is who we are.
Yes.
We were on a trajectory, and we were deflected from that trajectory. We had no animus or malice to any other civilization, but we were dragged from our civilizational trajectory and plunged into poverty. Now we want to tell our story. Nobody wants that story to be told, especially not in the institutions which were established out of colonialism and intended to preserve the colonial narrative.
Yes, and viewers, as you are listening to this, also important to remember, viewers, and keep reiterating for the younger generation, when they talk about Macaulay's children, they have targeted, the colonial rulers earlier have targeted our culture, targeted languages, targeted our religion, targeted Sanskrit, and attempted to delegitimize everything to do with Hinduism as orthodox, and therefore it's unfortunate. And I say this clearly, that irrespective of whose argument has merit or not, the fact is Jawaharlal Nehru always looked upon anything to do strongly assertive of the Hindu community as an orthodox, superstitious point of view. Now, viewers, something interesting happened in the UK when there was violence against Hindus. You would have expected, and I think that's one of the reasons that has provoked this documentary, you would have expected that when Hindus are the victim, then there should be support for them. Here in India, there was an attempt by the previous Congress government to have a communal violence bill which always portrayed Hindus as the aggressors and the minorities and Muslims as the victims. It was controversial, had to be taken back. Now, viewers, I don't know if you know about it, I don't know if you have the pictures on it, but there was violence against the Hindu community in Leicester and Birmingham, where the large Hindu population of Indian origin stays. What happened then is significant. What Pandit Sharma is saying is that even then the sections of the media took a very, very strong view against the Hindu community and portrayed Hindus as the instigators of the riots. How did that happen, and how did the Indian community react to that? Where were you then? How did you see it?
Well, I first heard of what was happening probably the second day of rioting, the second day of the Troubles. And I went to Leicester to find out for myself exactly what was happening. It was a very toxic and incendiary situation, but more so to establish who were these right-wing Hindutvadis who were on the streets of Leicester. That's what I went in search of. I found none. What I did find, though, was quite strange. There was not a single mosque that was attacked. There was not a single attack on any institution associated with the Muslim community. And yet, Hindu temples were attacked, and the evidence was recorded on camera and broadcast around the world.
Yes.
But the manner in which the BBC presented that was to say that there were Hindutwadis who were the instigators of this violence.
Yes.
And there were none. There was absolutely no evidence of any Hindutwadis whatsoever. But this is not the first time this has happened, Arnabji. Way back in 2014, there was an attempt to pass Hindu-specific legislation. Now, we know that the lady jurisprudence is blind to identity.
Yes.
And yet this legislation was targeting us, and I was one of the voices who managed to put together the narrative to challenge it. Immediately, I suddenly became the Hindutva representative of the fascist BJP in the United Kingdom, associated with Prime Minister Modi, and I've never had any interaction or engagement with any of the political parties in this country. And so there is a desire to cast this Hindutvadi trope onto foundations so it can be leveraged at all times. And the BBC is leading that charge.
Because we are here in India now, you've been to my newsroom, there's an increasing self-confidence. And do you see things changing there? What do we need to do? I've been saying, for example, for the last 10 years that the hegemony of the Western media must end. And you too believe, Panditji, that you're of the view that irrespective of merit, any pro-national initiatives launched by the government of India are met with global denigration, often with terminal consequences. There's a very strong anti-India consensus, and all these super influencers, BBC, Guardian, New York Times, they're all, at some level, they do work together. It cannot be accidental that so many of them get it so wrong. Now, what do we need to do this time? What is the requirement now? What is the alternative narrative that needs to be created, and how do you see that happening?
Adamji, there's a very simple solution to this. It's so simple, most people, especially us good-natured Hindus, we don't take this solution.
Yes.
I always ask, what is the locus standi of the person who is engaging in the conversation with me?
Okay.
And so, are they a friend? Are they a teacher? Am I the teacher? Are they the student? Or are they a white savior? Now, this is important because there is still a mental momentum in the West that they have the right to enter into any space, any conversation whatsoever. And so when somebody like the BBC is wanting to interview me, I always ask them, I'm sorry, are we friends? Or are you coming to contribute an opinion about something that's deeply personal? Because if you are not a friend and you are not a student, then you don't have the right to delve into this space.
I agree with you that, very often they try to use people like you, they would try to use as a prop. That's what the BBC does, interview Pandit Satish Sharma to sort of balance it out, which is why we need to be the narrative. We don't need to be over-dependent, and Republic is working very hard on creating a global alternative by next year. We have a caller. Murthy ji is calling from Hyderabad. Murthy ji, good evening.
Good evening.
What do you think about what Pandit Satish Sharma is doing? Do you think his documentary about the BBC is important in today's context?
Yes, first of all, let me speak to about yourself and Republic TV. I'm a big fan of Republic and Arnab yourself.
Thank you, sir.
Excellent body language and excellent subject. Excellent. And hats off to you.
Thank you.
Sir, you're courageous. And now, Satish Sharma ji, yes, he is doing excellent work. And I just wanted to ask him a single question about whether we should go on social media to defend all these BBC's allegations.
He's asking you whether you should be on social media, whether all these allegations should be more aggressively countered on because that's social media, because that's, I presume, where the disinformation happens.
Yes, social media is actually a gift from the divine for us. I used to be interviewed by the BBC. They misrepresented me on one occasion.
Okay.
And so from thereafter, I recorded all of the interviews I had at my end as well. And the next time they did it, I sent them my recording and said, here's what really happened. You missed all these bits out. And they have stopped interviewing people like myself now in entirety.
Wow.
So social media is the battleground. And in fact, social media is so important. It's the one medium where the world's communities are now asking all of the traditional institutions to answer questions. The institutions that were never questioned in the past are being held accountable like never before. Only a few days ago, we have a large gathering outside of Parliament demanding that Keir Starmer resign. And that was all absolutely coordinated. It was collated and then actually enacted. on social media.
I think we need to put the mirror back on them, Panditji, because, for example, I was appalled when they said that in Manipur they had a headline, "Murders and mayhem are tearing apart an Indian state." And this is the same BBC which underreported what happened before and after Thatcher's time in Ireland and Northern Ireland, and that is indefensible. Mr. Tirumala is joining us from Andhra Pradesh. Mr. Tirumala, good evening.
Good evening, Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Shri Ram, sir.
So Pandit Satish Sharma ji, I would like to ask a simple question, that whatever BBC is collecting information or getting for their broadcast purposes, what is the support that is coming from India? Because the information is being transferred from somebody from Indian groups only as an input to them. Because when we see a lot of BBC correspondents in TV debates, etc., they are supportive of whatever is that anti-India, anti-Hindu, etc., etc., etc. So, how to tackle this type of internal sabotages?
Sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
It's a wonderful question. The internal sabotages will always be there. They have a loud voice, but that voice is really supported by ancestral media organizations with very deep pockets. But it is changing. Let me share with you, when Leicester happened, we put out a counter-narrative.
True.
We challenged the BBC. A group of our community decided they wanted to protest outside of the BBC. And for the first time in history, there was a deluge of support which came in the Twitter space from the Indian subcontinent. In fact, the BBC commented that there were over 200,000 tweets influencing social media activity and actually contributing towards diffusing the situation in Leicester. So please don't be despondent about it. What I would say is that everybody should have the capacity to interact with social media. It is a powerful medium. One BBC report which painted Hindu men as potential rapists had an immediate impact across Europe, where our Hindu men students were denied access into universities on the basis of that one BBC report. So it's important that we all engage, it's important that we all become familiar and take advantage of this incredible medium that's been made available to us.
No, I think what you're doing is very brave, because you are there and you're fighting them where they obviously have a lot of influence. But I'm happy to say, viewers, that we are very happy to support Pandit Satish Sharma because of the intensity of his conviction. What I've seen, our team members have been speaking to him. We're very impressed and we wish you all the best. And you know, we will support your documentary on BBC on Trial when it is released in whichever way that we can. Rishabh Singh, our last caller, is from Pune. Rishabh.
Yeah, sir. Thanks, Arnab, sir, for taking this interview with Satish, sir. And my question would be, at a moment when in Bangladesh, Hindus are getting butchered, they are exposing the naming and shaming. At other side, Satish, sir, is truly promoting our Hindu culture. We have been tolerated for a longer time, and we are the only religion that is tolerating.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
If I could just comment on that, we have so much to offer. The world is also holding its religious institutions to account like never before.
Yes.
But they have no alternative to go to. I have met people who left the missionary traditions, who left the more aggressive traditions, and then after a period in the wilderness, they had nowhere to go to, and they found community back in one of their old traditions in a less robust manner. We need to get our vision in front of the world. The world is desperately looking for a dharmic solution. Our solution places humanity higher than ideology, and we are the only people who have said it's good to be born and incarnated as human beings. We don't have guilt to be concerned about. We should be proud of our identity.
And we should also leverage everything that we can. You know, we were talking about it. I'll wrap up by saying we don't have the time right now. United Kingdom and India should have excellent relations. We have a lot in common. But it cannot be a one-way street. You cannot have a free trade deal with India, only want to do business with India, but not defend Indian interests and people of Indian origin and Hindus when they are put into difficult situations. So ladies and gentlemen, we need to be more vocal. More power to you. We will support you whichever way we can. I think what you're doing is very innovative, disruptive and brave.
We want an honest relationship, don't we?
Yes, we do.
And it's sad to say that the current government are not necessarily honest brokers at this moment in time. We have to educate them with gentle fortitude and force to come to the table honestly and engage in genuine conversations. Some of that may be uncomfortable, but we have to make that happen.
Well, thank you, Pandit
Thank
Satish
you,
Sharma.
Arnab.
Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, that was a very interesting chat. Tell me whether you like these one-to-one conversations on my program occasionally. Now, viewers, on the other side tonight, the debate of the day that nobody's talking. The incidents regarding rail accidents, rail tragedies and averted accidents, are they part of one big sabotage attempt? A story you cannot miss on the other side.
Time for a quick breather. Arnab will be right back with the debate.